I sometimes feel like all religions are kind of pointing to that, like this ultimate source.
This guy's making a lot of good points, and I happen to resonate and like what he's saying about, like, especially if you've got some experience thinking about like Buddhist concepts and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, what he's saying makes sense, but I just know that there are some people that would be like, this is so friggin' evil. You can't be mixing this stuff up together. It's not. That's exactly what the devil would want you to do.
Well, and you should have to take his advice and be like, well, you have to leave it.
Right. So who the heck am I to have a problem with someone where that's their reality?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, man.
Yeah. Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers, James and Justin back at it again, helping you to better connect with this divine yet somewhat peculiar reality we all find ourselves in. We're going to our request list on this one. We are asked to do one of the TRS clips on, I think it was Dr. Robert Svoboda being interviewed by TRS Clips, and this is about the connection between Jesus Christ and Krishna.
And he's an ethnobotanist? Is that what you said?
No. He was like the first Westerner graduate in an Indian school for, how do you say it? It's Ayurveda or Ayurveda, which is like, he's kind of like a medicine man. I think he deals with plants and healing and medicine and stuff like that.
Is that not?
Maybe what you're saying.
I don't know. Maybe correct us with the word, I guess.
Yes, please. But yeah, he's talking about Jesus and Krishna and their connection. And so we're going to watch this and put it together.
I'm a part of something called YSS, the Yogoda Satsang Society, which is Yoganand Paramahansa's school. Mm-hmm. And we worship 6 gurus, of which 2 are Jesus Christ and Lord Shri Krishna.
Yes.
There's many Hindus who get offended that I place a photo of Jesus Christ next to Krishna, and there's many Christians who get offended that I place a photo of Krishna next to Jesus. How do you explain it to people who get offended with these concepts? Because everyone's kind of living in a world now where they think, no, my religion is superior to your religion, without understanding what reality truly is. Would you like to dive a little bit?
I mean, it really does depend on who I'm talking to.
That's a good point right off the bat. There seems to be a lot of, debate. People get very stuck. Like if you come from a practice, the idea that another one could be right, or the fact that you could like integrate them, can be very challenging.
Yeah.
So
where does that come from? Where does that come from? Is it that
it's protection? I think it's part of it is protectionist. You learn something that has worked for your people. It's kept them all together, right? So deviating from that path can be threatening.
Because he's putting Krishna and Jesus next to each other, right?
Yes.
So does Jesus, when he appears in the Bible or the Quran or whatever text he appears in, is he coming saying, don't have anybody else, don't put my face next to other... Does he say things like that? Or does Krishna say that?
Well, in a lot of religious texts, it does say that.
Right. So then there's your reason.
That's part of the reason. I think the first thing that I said too is also part of that reason.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So if I'm talking to someone who is very much tied down to their sampradaya, to their sect, whether it's Christian or Hindu or Muslim or anything else, or Zoroastrian, I've spent a lot of time with Parsis and Iranis. I recognize that trying to explain precisely how I see things may not get me anywhere. So if they need to feel that I'm a Gnostic or a kafir or a heretic or something, I let them feel that way. But if it's somebody who seriously wants to understand that, I try to explain that,
That's kind of tough to do, what he just said there. Because we navigate a lot of strange waters. Me and you interact with people of different faiths, and we're a little bit like we kind of pull from a lot of different places. Yeah. And for him to say if they want to think of me as this or that, I let them.
Yeah,
interesting.
I wonder if what he's kind of saying by that is kind of like, okay, I'll let you do your thing, and I just won't like. At some point, there's probably some type of separation because you can't. it's very hard to engage or work with people who are like adamantly not for you.
Right.
And
But going back to the first thing I said, if somebody has a cherished faith and belief, and that's reality for them, Jesus saved me, or Krishna saved me, or however it works with that. And if they say like, hey man, don't put any gods above me.
Yeah.
Like what good reason would there be for somebody to come along and say, wow, you can put all the different gods next to each other, or all the different prophets, or however you regard them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're saying like, what would be a good reason to do that?
Yeah. Especially if their
might-
Messiah is telling you not to do that. I can't think of I can't actually think of. I know I can think of verses where Jesus said, like, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father, and I am the way, the truth, and the light. I can think of that.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of a verse where Jesus was like, I'm the only one. Don't go anywhere else. Can you think of a verse?
I can think of a scripture in the Bible that says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me, but by through me.
Right. Right. Which is a bold statement.
Yeah.
That's a bold statement.
If you're interpreting it the way that there's many ways to interpret that verse, right?
Right.
You can see that verse a certain way and
Is
be
there?
like, see?
Is there many ways of interpreting that verse?
Yeah, because what if by Jesus saying, I am the way, the truth, and the life, he's basically saying that, like, I am a part of all of reality is the same way you are all part of reality. There's only one way to get there.
Right. It's funny how, people will get stuck on one thing. I think it says a lot about human psychology and human behavior that we would be like, there he said it. He said he's the way, the truth, and the life. It's like, a few scripture verses over it says you're going to do more bigger, crazier things than I am. Like,
exactly.
There are verses, I'm paraphrasing it obviously, but there are verses that say like, you will do, don't even be mystified by what I'm doing, because you're going to do
crazier things,
even bigger things.
Yeah. All right.
Which is a bold claim too.
Yeah. Well, let's keep this conversation going.
Jesus made it very clear that there was one reality. And Krishna also made it very clear that there was one reality. Krishna, and even in this country, there have been times when Vaishnavas, followers of Vishnu, and Shaivas, followers of Shiva, have fought with one another, have killed one another, because each one of them said, my Devata is the most important. It is what is most important, in my opinion, is to recognize that for every individual, there is a particular path in a particular incarnation that is going to work for them best. For many people, it is one Devata, one God, one Guru, one direct path.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, well, I've heard of that before. I forget who it was. It might have been that Peter guy with the near-death experience that was saying that he was like, he had a spiritual experience coming from not being very religious at all. And then I think he went to the only thing he could think of was go to like a church. Yeah. And it was like, what religion did you grow up around? He was like, we were Christian, I think, or whatever. And they were like, go to that. Go down that. And I've heard other people...
And try to understand your mystical experience through that belief system.
Right, which makes sense, because you've got all this iconography and everything going into your head. Like, I've heard of that before. If you grow up here, what was the religion of where you grew up? Go take that avenue.
Yeah.
Right? But he's also suggesting that that's not the case for everybody.
Yeah. It's definitely, like, not my case.
Because when I was growing up, I've said it before, I was always questioning. We'd be in Bible study and people... I was like disruptive because everybody just wanted to learn about it, and I would be asking way too many questions. Yeah, I had more questions than one religion could offer me answers to.
And so I don't know. We probably have similar. I'm more of like I like a holistic route. I like to see what everyone's got to say.
Yeah, me too.
Kind of and go through that route. But
some people, it is not so much one as having more than one. That doesn't mean having 20. And having your attention divided among those 20, that means having a direct connection to whoever it is you're having that connection to. And if that connection is one that you can honestly say to yourself, being very calm and very introspective, that is genuine for you, then that is genuine for you. And
right. And I feel like people sometimes are deprived from trying different things. I know people that are into like the occult. I know people that are into like witchcraft type stuff,
Yeah.
and that's their thing, right? And not everybody gets exposed to maybe the thing that would resonate with them. Which, by the way, I wasn't trying to say I left behind the Christian stuff I learned. I still, you know.
Yeah, I feel like I've just carried it with me as I've gone outside of the box and taken it with me, which is probably like what you're saying.
Yeah. In fact, sometimes it's enriched by other stuff. It's like you can think of old Bible verses or be reading a Bible verse and be like, wow, this actually kind of dovetails.
Yeah.
With
Well, that might be hard for someone to even understand.
It's blasphemy to some people.
I know. I feel like if you were like really tied to one belief system, it might be weird to hear from someone who's been there, who's kind of out of to say something like, I feel like I understand it better now. Like, I feel like I understand my Christian faith better now.
Yeah.
Outside of it. That's going to be like,
yeah.
What do you mean by that?
No, I've been there. I remember when I was a kid, I saw an interview with Marilyn Manson, and he's got a lot of dark imagery and everything, and he was like saying, they were questioning him about religion, and he was like, yeah, I remember this.
Yeah.
I think it's true. He was saying that he like has no problem. He was like, yeah, I like Jesus. I like this. I like that. But he was lumping a bunch of religions. And at the time, because I was just like so fixated on the one religion, I was like disturbed by that. I was like, that's such a crazy thing to say, is that you can't lump Jesus in with other stuff. So no wonder when somebody puts up a picture of, as this guy calls them, different devas together, people are like, that's not right.
Yeah.
No wonder.
For me, if I sincerely believe that the supreme reality has ultimately no name and no form, no qualities whatsoever, that it can take on any qualities that it wants to, then I can certainly feel when I am worshiping Jesus that I am indirectly worshiping whatever other devatas I may have a relationship with. And if I'm worshiping, and I have a relationship with certain devatas, like Ganapati. I lived here in Maharashtra for many years, and I have a direct and very genuine and sincere connection to Ganapati. But I personally, they are different externally. They are different in their qualities. They're different in how you worship them. But they are still manifestations of that one supreme reality.
I sometimes feel like all religions are kind of pointing to that, like this ultimate source.
This guy's making a lot of good points, and I happen to resonate and like what he's saying about, like, especially if you've got some experience thinking about like Buddhist concepts and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, what he's saying makes sense. But I just know that there are some people that would be like, this is so friggin' evil. You can't be mixing this stuff up together. It's not. That's exactly what the devil would want you to do.
Well, and you should have to take his advice and be like, well, you have to leave it. You have to leave it.
Right. So who the heck am I to have a problem with someone where that's their reality?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, man.
Yeah.
Which people refer to as God.
Which people refer to as God. Now, the problem is sometimes that, let's say, Christians, they refer to God as Abraham was thinking about God, and so do the Jews, and so do the Muslims. And Abraham, certainly, to have created these religions that billions of people worship, he must have been quite a guy. But still, that doesn't mean that he was perfect. And he had his own limitations, and partly they were the limitations of the time he lived in. That was back in a time when sacrifices were happening. Sacrifices were happening in the Vedic religion also. Sacrifices were happening everywhere. And that's why Jesus came along and said, I will be the sacrifice. You forget about all this sacrifice thing. And Jesus defined his religion very clearly and easily and simply. Number one, God is love. And number two, love your neighbor as much as you love yourself. And remember that anything that you do is going to come back in your direction. I mean, he called it the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And remember, he was explaining to people.
Like so many good points there, right? Golden rule. But I like the idea of someone just as kind of veering off a little bit, but the sacrifice of Jesus, he probably coming from a time where like everyone's killing everything to like try and like make amends with God, like blood sacrifices. And he's like, I'll do it. So you guys could stop all this, right? Maybe he didn't have in mind that it would have taken on the form, like the faith would have taken on that form.
Yeah, definitely. Perhaps.
He was probably hoping, like, okay, if I just let this happen to me, then this will end all this nonsense.
Right. I've thought that before, that, especially with Jesus and everything, that was almost like a response to the brutality of the world that was existing.
Yeah.
Because Christianity, especially New Testament, so much about love and all this stuff. I was like, I wonder if this was just like a natural response to how barbaric the world was prior. Yeah. But I also feel like what this guy's saying, and a lot of this, probably all of this stuff, can be understood at different levels. Like, I feel like one person could hear what he's saying and understand it at a level, and then somebody else would hear it and understand it to like some deeper degree. Yeah. You ever get that sense that somebody who's like smarter than me, or just, gained more consciousness, would like see it even more, be able to see what this guy's saying, who this guy is, all of it at some richer level.
Yeah.
Sometimes like...
Definitely.
Yeah.
Who did not have the advantage of abstruse philosophical thought like the people here have had for thousands of years. So he was trying to explain the law of karma to them. If you do to somebody else something that is violent, the law of karma is going to send violence back in your direction. It may not be today or tomorrow. It may be after one more incarnation or 10 incarnations, but that's going to happen. That's
after an incarnation. Come on, man.
We don't like the idea of that. The idea of like getting your due.
It's funny because we, like everything, we pick and choose, right? We don't like the bad stuff about karma, but we sure love the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's like you're blessed in some ways, but you suffer in some ways because of this karma thing.
Yeah.
But you can't separate the two.
Yeah, I don't know how it all.
It's the toughest concept in all of the things to me.
It's
the idea
brutal.
Of
it's brutal. Nobody likes to think that like, all the terrible shit that I've done in my life, I'll have to pay for it.
People
through karma
out, I think, sometimes. But I don't even want to talk about it too much.
Oh yeah,
because we all got to deal with it, and it's a hard one.
Yeah.
Maybe for me, somebody might be laughing at me and be like, "It's not a big deal when you know it." Put that in the comments. Alleviate my fear of karma.
Let us know.
It's just, that's the nature of the universe. That's Newton's third law of motion. Action, reaction.
So, connection between Jesus and Krishna. I want to know what you guys think in the comments about this one. That was like a long one. We had a lot to say there. So we want to hear what you guys have to think about it.
Definitely.
And if you liked this episode, don't forget to smash the like button. Share this with a friend, subscribe, and everybody, until next time, stay spiritual.